Call this meeting to order. Please rise for the flag salute. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Calvadas.
Here.
Mr. Caucus.
Here.
Mrs. Passio. Here. Mr. White.
Here.
Mrs. Kelly. Here. Mr. Root.
Here.
Mr. Wood.
Here.
Mr. Bayshore.
Here.
And Mr. Williams.
Here. Statement. Public notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act has been given by the clerk in the following manner. 1. Posted on the bulletin board in the Borough Clerk's office on January 7, 2013, and emailed to the retrospect and Courier Post on January 7, 2013. New business for discussion. Hopefully everybody has, do you have all the copies in here? 2 bingo license and 1 raffle license for Wilshire Parish. Any questions? Resolution issuing a tax refund. Resolution adjusting sewer charges. They're not going to close.
It should be.
Resolution county road snow plowing. Just for everyone to know, we do this every year. This is our agreement with them, and we plow certain roads that are county roads, such as Schubert, and they provide us with a salt, a discounted salt price. They actually give us salt. And I think it says that a resolution is that choice.
It's the very first one.
13-152. There's a whole agreement with this on.
A resolution accepting performance bond from Med Express. That's the property on the corner of Evesham and Blackcoast Pike. Once we accept the performance bond, what happens after that? They basically hold that money until
Just to make sure they do any improvements, right? We just hold the bond.
we hold the bond, in case they don't finish for some reason. Resolution authorizing property maintenance liens. As everybody can see, those amounts have really increased. The average is over $450 now for the grass cutting. It's like 9 properties. This is something that was council's done for several years. It's a resolution authorizing Anthony's Water Rights to sell Christmas trees. For the past, I think, at least 4, 5, 6 years, we've allowed them to do this. That's coming from the borough, the council. Does anybody have any questions? It's really just us passing the resolution. No. Resolution authorizing for the proper officials to sign the community block grant year 35 agreement. What this was is, this is the money that actually has already been spent on 2nd Avenue and 3rd. Originally, I'm the representative to this board. When I first went to the meeting, the idea was they were going to combine the grants every 3 years. We would get one large sum of money, large sum of money. The sums have kept dropping every year. But at the very last moment, they changed their mind and they said, instead of Runnemede would have been the 2nd or 3rd year. So instead of getting $100,000 every 3 years, we're going to basically give them $30,000 every year. The representatives made a proposal to the freeholders. The freeholders denied it basically. And at the last minute, they made us, we think we had 1 week's notice, you guys remember, to come up with a project to spend this money on. And at the time, we were working on 2nd and 3rd. When we were finishing up 2nd and 3rd, and they fell underneath the criteria. So I think they, Mark, you put the application in. What it does is it reimburses us the money we were going to spend. It's about $33,000. And then the only thing that was given on the package before we get to everything else is, and Len, do you want to just take this? This is just to remind everybody, we've been looking at the property at the corner of Detmar and Hirsch. This is a paper street that would go through Hirsch to Center Avenue, if Detmar were to continue. The borough's had to maintain this property. It's been an issue. There's another problem. If you remember, we did send a letter out to all 4 residents. They responded that they would be willing to take it. We had the assessor look at the property. He said they did take it, it increased their assessment by about $125 per year. And at this point, this is the process we have to do. Leonard, you just want to explain?
Yeah, simple process, ignore the typos, this was just a quick draft on the resolution that's, excuse me. So in order to make King Street, you need to do it by ordinance, so we do the normal ordinance process. And then attached to it is the legal description of the whole portion that is being vacated. Each of the landowners will get whatever their portion is. I don't know how the street sets up, so it could be 4 people, each get a quarter,
That's exactly.
so they're all going to extend their lines to the middle of the street line. And they'll get, they'll get their.
So there's no deed, it's just by
No,
ordinance?
no, it's by ordinance, and there's actually a recording, there's actually a part of the clerk's office where you record street vacation. So we record it there, so if somebody's checking it, they can discover it.
Does it attach to their deed?
No, it does not. The next time they do something, which would require them to have a new deed, a survey will be performed which will include this parcel. So it's an operation of law by the ordinance, and they're aware of it. But the legal description, we're giving them the legal, Mark's office gave us the legal description of that is the street, not the quadrants. That's not our responsibility. Each individual, because it may be slightly different depending on how their property lines are.
So we're not gonna have a survey, what you're saying, so they can go out there and say, I want this, because I don't know.
No, they can't say that.
Well,
We
how
can have
do
a-
they define the line, the property line? They wanna put a fence up.
The property line is an extension of their existing property line to the center of the vacated street. That's their property. So you just continue the survey house, they continue their line, like we're a rectangle, the back end of the rectangle. We continue their line out to the center line of the street, which is determinable from the description, and that's their property. And then the other side is that person across the road.
So we'll provide them with a legal description.
We're provided with the whole legal, it's attached to the ordinance. The legal description of the parcel being vacated is attached to the ordinance. It's not.
So it's 50 feet wide, so
And it's
everybody
being
gets 25
recorded,
feet.
it's being recorded, and if they were to sell or find an owner for that property someday, they would have to do a survey, and then the survey would pick up the meets and bounds on their property only.
Right.
But they're not getting a specific right now. They're getting the whole thing.
No, they only get what they get, but we're not giving them that specific legal description.
No.
We're just
They
saying
will
that.
pick that up when they do meets and bounds if they ever
That's
sell
right,
the
we've
property.
got a piece that's
It's 50 by 300.
50 by 300.
And they,
So everybody will get 25 by 150.
well,
Right,
approximately.
right. So if you get 25 feet into the right of way and the length of their property,
Whatever their property.
Yeah,
continuation of that
So-
rectangle.
if it's not cut. I think what you're asking is, are we providing them with a
With a deed,
survey?
there's no.
deed?
Yeah.
I thought we would be provide them with a deed, but there's no mechanism for us to provide them with a deed.
Right.
I did not realize that the county has this mechanism to vacate streets. And what I think Len, you explained before was, these streets really were this property anyway, and we're just giving up our right to it.
Yeah, it's really kind of, the way you really back into it is that the property lines go to the middle of the street, and when the street gets dedicated, you're taking that property from all of the people who are on the street. So when you have it, just a paper street, okay, all we're doing is saying, we're giving up our rights in the street. We're giving you back what you owned in the beginning. Your property line to the middle of the street. That's what's happening.
But if they did want to put a fence up, we
Yeah,
have
they
a
would-
legal description that says that they would add this extra 20, well,
Right, and they would get a survey anyway at that point to make sure that their sidelines,
They would have.
things are, things are not really as Chief Hatcher as we'd like them to be when it comes to property.
Right, right. So
are you
the
recommending that they do
survey
anything else?
would be based on the ordinance.
I mean, so that people know what they own, I think it ought to be done before it's turned over to them.
It's not turned over to,
Well,
No.
you're giving ownership of the property.
We're taking away our right to it.
You're giving ownership of the property.
but for us to do that, we'd have to survey their property.
And that's
I mean,
their,
survey to find
that's
out.
their
Well, a
responsibility.
portion of it, and if I'm wrong, you'll tell me, but I think that we would certainly have to be taking lines from their existing, surveying their property to to be able, so it would cost us a fair amount of money to do that, because now you need 4 surveys.
You're giving, I mean,
We are giving it, we're not
so
selling it.
the thing, we're giving it to you, but you have to have the property survey.
Only if you want to do
No,
something.
you don't have that, they don't have to do anything. They only just have, 10 years from now, 2 weeks
What
ago.
I'm saying, the guy who got, people run out there and said, oh, you're on my property, you know, people next door to his house. It's not.
So he'll get a survey and then he'll
Well,
approve.
it is defined, it's just not defined in the manner that you're suggesting. It's not defined by an individual survey. It's defined by the operation of law. And this is a rectangular piece. So, and if there's a dispute, then somebody's going to get a survey anyway. If they had a dispute right now, forgetting the street, about their property line or where the
I'm
fence
saying
was.
there now, there's a road going in there now. There's actually, where the, off, what's that, Center Avenue?
Yeah.
There's actually, it's made for a road to go in there. Are we gonna eliminate that and put curb through there?
We could if we
I
wanted to.
mean, we have, I mean, it's actually a
I
road.
think,
It's not a road.
Well,
I think people have already accepted the fact that they want this property.
Well, I was speaking, but there's actually corners there already. They're defined corners.
I did speak to the residents, they don't want those corners taken out, because they've always used this as a driveway. So the 2 property owners on Hirsch, excuse me, on Center, I did look at that, and I thought maybe we should have to do sidewalk work, because we have been
I
trying.
mean, I think they start with curb and sidewalk.
They don't want it. They don't want it to be.
Hirsch have the sidewalk?
Hirsch does not, Hirsch has a sidewalk and curb.
Yeah.
Center has a curb cut.
Right, right.
And the property owners that face Center Avenue have a garage, and they drive in and they pull into the garage. What this does is it basically vacates the street that they've been using, anyway. But what it does is where the problem's been is on the other end of the property, where the hill is, where that's become overgrown. Public Works has had to go down there and maintain the property. And, you know, all 4 owners, there was one owner, he did feel that he didn't want it, that he had to fix the property up, and then we said, well, the other owners would take it. And then he said, I'd take it. So now what will happen is, what I understand is, all 4 people get equal portions based on their property lines. And we're gonna give them a legal description. So if your point is, if they want to put a fence up, they would have to get a survey, extending their existing survey.
Even now, they take possession of the property, there's no curb or nothing through there, no sidewalk, or, you know, can keep, like, go out and cite them, they have no sidewalk on the property?
It's a pre-existing condition. If you would make a recommendation, put sidewalks in, I have
say
no
put
problem.
curb and sidewalk, if you're gonna vacate the thing, put curb and sidewalk through there.
We can look at it. I think it's something we definitely look at. You know, we have every right to put curb and sidewalk in.
I think the homeowners would want driveways.
In one driveway.
One
We
driveway.
put aprons there.
Well, now wait a second, now we're putting aprons.
Well, if you're gonna, if you're doing it.
That's not our job.
We're
But
vacating the street,
You're
that's
you're
all.
giving them the property now, you don't tell them they have to put sidewalk through there?
No, I didn't say that.
But
There's an
you
existing
have to maintain
concrete
sidewalk in
driveway.
front of your- It's not a driveway.
Well, why don't we then, if you think that this is a problem, why don't you reach out to those 2 people and find out if they want a curb or sidewalk, and you can bring it back to the next meeting. And then, because if it is curb and sidewalk, you know, then maybe we have to reevaluate this, because now there's gonna be a cost involved.
You have to assess it.
We'll have to assess them.
If they just assessed.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm just saying, because now you're making a walking service.
You know, right now, if I'm correct,
Well,
what you're saying is there's a
step down.
there's a step down on the concrete,
Off the corner.
and then you walk on concrete,
But
back up.
there's no sidewalk.
But I just said to you that they wanted this.
But you'll be making, yeah, but if you make it a driveway, yeah.
Are we gonna pour their, are we gonna pour their driveway?
No.
Absolutely not. You're not doing any improvements on public, you're not doing any improvements
So
on
why would we put improvements on public property, on private property?
property. It's private
No,
property.
it'll still be actually,
Well, like I said, I think we should vacate it. I think all the residents want to have it. There's a legal description that we're gonna give them. I thought we were giving them deeds, but that is not how it works. I'm not an attorney, that's why we pay for an attorney. He says that it vacates. Now, as for the curb and sidewalk, I mean, could we pass a resolution? I mean, there's no rule that says if you don't have a sidewalk, we force you to put it in. The only time we force people to put sidewalks in is when they sell the property. Is that correct? You were director of engineering and construction for 3 years.
2 years,
Wasn't it,
2 years,
what were you in the first year?
2 years.
Oh, 2 years, okay, for 2 years. Are we required to put, are they required to put curbs and sidewalks when they sell the property? So I don't think that there's a mechanism right here, but they're not selling the property. If anything, all we're doing is relinquishing our right to that property. So there's no mechanism to force them. So our code enforcement would not cite them, if that's what your question is.
That's what he was question. That's what I heard him say.
Yeah. So if we're not citing them, we're not gonna have that, put it in. If you don't wanna give them the property, I have no, have every right to say no. Does Mr. Bayshore, you wanna do your report next? We don't really have on the agenda this way, but.
I have nothing to report. I'll go over everything at the regular council meeting.
Okay.
The only thing that I had that affected the meeting will be this ordinance.
Was this ordinance, do you have any concerns with this vacation? Mr. White? You have anything else? It's your turn. We're gonna do you first.
Double duty, because Ms. Moore thought she might be stuck in traffic, so that thought works.
You're gonna have to talk louder.
Hold the mic up, Mayor.
Thank you.
I will be doing double duty. I will also be giving the written report for Public Works on behalf of.
If you wanna wait, you do yours first, and then we'll go if anybody has anything to say.
Okay. All right, so this would be coming from Director Moore regarding Public Works. I just wanted to point out that
I said, why don't you do yours or?
Hold hers.
And hold hers. Let's do mine. Oh, it's mine? Fine.
Go ahead.
all right, this past week, the Public Works crews cleaned up Hirsch Lake. They removed all the overgrown brush from the embankment below the bulkhead, cleared debris from the area around the dam, and with the exception of a giant stump that will be removed at a later date. You may have noticed on your way in today that the floors were stripped and waxed in Borough Hall. The guys did a very good job with that, and it's also via one of our shared services because we borrowed the floor machine from the Bolt School. So we wanted to thank Mr. Iannucci on that, for that work there with the interlocal agreement. And I'm sure everyone's noticed leaves falling. Leaf season has officially begun. We had signage made to help with noticing the public of when the crews will be in their areas. I can tell you that I spoke with Nick this morning at Fritz. He said the east side first pass has been complete. That's east side of the pike. Tomorrow we'll start the second pass on the east side. And it's tentatively scheduled to start for 11/4 for the first pass of the west side of the pike. We do have some items that we're asking the residents to be aware of. That's that you place your leaves curbside. Do not intermingle them with sticks and branches because they have to be separated before they can be processed. We're also asking if they live near a storm drain not to place the leaves over top of the drains. And we're asking for a little bit of patience. They're all starting to fall now, and we have to follow the schedule to the best we can. Also, the bus was out last week for repairs. It was damaged in an accident. We sent it out for repairs, and it is back. We'll be running it tomorrow. On the topic of buses, we've started work on updating some of our bus stops in town. We're working with New Jersey Transit to make sure that they comply with all the rules and regulations. On the sewer side, we had a central lab pump that was down, that was sent out for repair, and it's now working again, and the upgrade has it more efficiently than it was before, so we want to issue a special thanks to the sewer department for taking care of that issue. We're also in our prep work for the winter coming months. We're going through now and making sure we have everything ready for the S word, and that's the director's term, but I will concur with that, so making sure we're all set for the storm. I think that the director may be giving a more detailed report at the council meeting. To follow up on those issues, a couple other things that are changing. It's also on your agenda today. The Municipal Alliance Program, while the core components of it are pretty much the same, the logistics of how it's going to work going into the future is going to be different starting on January 1st of 14. The state's moving it from a 3-year grant cycle to a 5-year grant cycle, but it doesn't start until 7/1/14. So basically what we're doing is we're doing a transition period from January 1st to June 30th, and it's going to be based on 50% of the 2013 funding cycle, and it's basically going to be an extension of the approved planning cycle that we were in this year. So the projects and things of that nature will be the same. What Ms. Parrish is working on right now is the 5-year plan that's going to be presented for the 7/1/14 period. So that's the purpose for having the grant cycle, the resolution and the sample resolution, and why it's only for a 6-month period, just so you're clear on that. In addition to the agenda items, we will be meeting, I believe, tonight and again at some point later in the week with regards to Personnel Committee. So there are some personnel actions that may be possible based on the results of the Personnel Committee meeting. So that's, it's not confirmed yet, so that's why it's not on the agenda. And we are putting together our packets that will be going out probably in the next 2 weeks to start the 2014 budget cycle. So it's more a message for the directors and for the department heads, but it's that time of year again, and I can't believe it's November already. But with that, I will not yield anything further for the council meeting.
Okay, thank you. The directors, Mr. White, do you have anything for tonight?
No.
Mike, do you have anything for tonight? Any discussion, items?
No, no discussion, I'll report by, at the meeting.
Okay. Laura, is there anything?
Mr. President, I'm going to report at my meeting, on the council meeting. And it's on Wednesday of next week, correct?
Yes, it's Wednesday.
Wednesday of next week.
Spancio, you got something?
I want to report about our Halloween party, which will be on Thursday, October 31st, from 6 to 8 o'clock in the evening. There will be a dance, followed by judging of the best costumes, first, second, and third place. So, everyone's invited.
Okay, you got anything? No. The only thing I have, I will not be here on November 6th. I have to go to another meeting, so because we moved it to a Wednesday, I won't be here, but I don't think there's anything that's.
That's all right, I'm the mayor.
I know you're the mayor, so you can.
And,
And, so I have nothing else.
And
Len will be here.
no, Len's not going to be here.
you can send somebody.
Steve Block will be there.
Steve Bach will be there, so you're not going to be here either? Oh, okay, she'll be here.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you.
If there's nothing else, we'll go right to the welfare.
Joyce will be here.
We spoke at the special meeting about the stop signs on
Yes, I think there is something to report on that.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna go for it tonight, but I can, we went out and looked at, there was South Oakland Avenue, had a no parking area, and there was some safety concerns that it wasn't properly,
People weren't stopping their cars.
yeah, and then there's a no parking area that people weren't paying attention to. So you do have an ordinance on the book prohibiting parking for the first 200 feet from, I think it was from Charles,
from Phillips to.
from Phillips for 200 feet.
Should we paint or should we put signs up?
Both, I would recommend. It was painted yellow a long time and it's faded. There's also some signs out there that are faded as well. And there's one sign that, I think it says dangerous corner, but that's faded. So you might want to have public.
New
works.
sign for there.
Right.
Okay, so
And
we'll do that
then-
to public works.
And then where Phillips and Charles hit South Oakland, there's no stop signs. It's
Is there
a
an
T
ordinance?
intersection, you should probably have it just to let people know that there is a stop condition there. And you don't need to do an ordinance because a T intersection.
T doesn't.
As long as the T is the stop condition, you don't need a special ordinance for that.
So it would be on the Phillips side.
Right. Phillips and Charles would be the two stop signs.
We need it down there.
Okay.
It's a blind
I
corner.
got one other question for you. I was speaking to a resident on Reed Avenue. He said there was a survey done on speed bumps on Reed Avenue. Yep. Why they weren't put in? On Reed Avenue. I don't know. The guy I was talking to, he spoke to Ms. Pasco. She told him there was a survey done that weren't feasible on Reed Avenue.
I told him that there was a
Yeah.
survey.
Yeah, Billy Brittenstein.
Yeah, I talked to Brittenstein. No, I never told him such a thing. There's no survey.
Survey?
Or a study or something.
The ones we had done on the first part were
Yeah.
requested by the police chief.
Oh. Do you know anything about speed bumps on the other part of Reed?
No, I don't know anything about
No.
speed bumps.
Nothing? Was not on the drawings?
No.
Okay. Anyone else? Just check it out. This portion of the meeting is open to the public. Anyone wishing to speak, please come to the microphone, state your name and address.
Or again, 12 South Oakland Avenue. I think the stop signs are a great idea because I live on that street. But all that being said, while you're looking at painting the curbs and stop signs, you gotta look at the road itself. I'm not complaining because I have a nice, I live 2 houses from the corner and I can take the bike, but for anybody that's talking through there, we have existing speed bumps and there's no ordinance or survey for them. They just exist because the street's sinking. But I'm actually here because Municipal Alliance, we're talking about what Ms. Betteridge is doing for 2014. I've asked now for 6 months, 2012, 2013. So that's great, we have a plan in action for 2014. I'm not only speaking as, on behalf of the URY, but I'm speaking on behalf of Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, DARE, all these programs that were benefited from that got nothing. 3-year plan. Well, where's the 3-year plan from 3 years ago that cut out 2012 and 2013? Again, I speak on behalf of the URY, but I know many organizations, softball, again, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, DARE. What happened in 2012 and 2013 if there was a 3-year plan before the 5-year plan?
You need to be more specific.
I have been as specific as I need to be for 6 months now.
Well,
So I've questioned for 6
I'm not
months.
going to debate the issue in
All right.
public because this isn't the forum.
I tried to do it in a private
I
forum.
will tell you this. I went back and I looked through 2006 to current.
Mhm.
There was only one time a $500 payment was made to RYA
Correct.
for one sign.
Correct.
And it was not part of the plan. It was just a side thing done.
We
So-
were
so we
actually
haven't
informed
funded it
about,
every
we were
single year.
informed about it by softball, who had gotten it every year.
Hold on, Maria,
Softball.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of softball.
So in 2006, there was $500 written.
No, I don't know if 6 was the year, but I
No.
went back to 2006, and there was only one separate $500 payment, and that was for
2005.
a sign, not for a.
Okay, sponsor, there's a municipal alliance.
What it was,
Again,
it's
since
the way
then, I want to make it
it's.
very clear that we have not funded other entities since then.
I know.
Because it's, and I have a letter that I sent to Mr. Beatrice 2 years ago,
Mhm.
that the rules governing the municipal alliance have been ratcheted down big time.
Okay.
There's issues in North Jersey with how that they were spending it,
Mhm.
and if it's not in the plan, or you can't tag it to the plan, they're basically saying, don't even bother asking. So they have changed the rules.
So you're saying in the 2011, 12, 13 plan, there was no funds
We got it.
set aside for the youth organizations and stuff like that?
No. There was, I mean, I can go over what the plan was, but the plan that was presented, and it's basically been piggybacked each year, had a DARE component. It had an after-school activities program, it had Red Ribbon Week, it had mother-daughter dance, it had things, there's specific things that are defined in there, what it can be used for. There used to be flexibility to say, well, we can put that to DARE, or we can tag that with DARE. What I'm saying is that they have gotten very tight with their rules and with their reimbursements, and it could jeopardize funding. We used to do other activities with the seniors, and that was why I wrote the memo to Mr. Beatrice, because we weren't going to be able to do that anymore. So there were some things in the past that we may have done with it, with the tightening of the rules, that it's not possible to do now.
So it sounds like the answer to your question is that even though we haven't given you an answer quickly, is that the plan that was written for the past 3 years followed the rules which said we could not use the money, expend the
So
money.
where was it used, I guess would be my question.
You said $500 was used to sponsor something in some previous year.
Yeah.
I believe that they did it as a sign sponsorship,
No,
not.
the way it was, we put up a sign because we were told specifically that it had to be used to fund at-risk kids who could not afford to play. So we put up a sign because that grant actually promotes drug and alcohol-free lifestyle. So that's what our sign read. And read a complex, it promoted drug and alcohol-free. And the sign was actually donated so that we could use all $500. But we had to show which 5 kids, and we kept it confidential, it covered, and they were at-risk kids. So, okay, the 3-year plan, but again, do we know what that grant did fund? If it didn't fund what it typically in the past has? Because again, the ROI was enlightened about it, through softball, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, but again, I know I'm over 3 minutes, I apologize. But, do we know what it funded? Because it's a grant. I mean, so.
We do have details of that.
And we submit a report every year, and that's what he's saying, the money basically gets spent now. Right now, I think there's an extension that we're gonna approve, but it has been spent on these other functions. Like I said, I'm not the municipal coordinator. The report, I've only seen it one time. We expend the money a lot through the schools, as you know. The school gets a good chunk of the money that's spent. Is that correct?
No. Where, how? Because we used to have a spaghetti dinner which promoted family. We don't have that at school anymore. There's a lot of things that that program, and again, I only speak on our $500 for
Well,
one
we
year.
do have a representative at the school that you could speak to,
Okay,
and you should ask who that is, and she'll tell you what she turns into us.
okay.
And they spend money,
Who was the municipal alliance coordinator prior to?
I think it was Mr.
I think
Beatrice.
Part of the problem is that we were struggling for a period of time until Ginny come back on board this year, because we didn't have an official
We have-
coordinator. I mean, Tony was.
He did as a councilman.
And I'm not saying he did a bad job, I'm just saying that he didn't have the level of expertise and the connections and ties with coach that Ginny had.
He may have had better connections because as the RY, not only did we get that grant for $500, but the RY actually, under Mr. Beatrice.
You know what, why don't we
All right.
decide that,
But I tried that, and I not only did I not get an answer, but I got ignored. So I can try it in a private forum, but when you do things here in a private forum, you get ignored. That's why it's good to do it publicly, so everybody's aware there's a problem.
Okay. We're gonna send you
I don't
on.
agree that there's a problem.
I agree with
think that
Mr.
we just
Beatrice
answered
actually
it.
offered the RY $500 additional dollars,
But
that's
he
in
did
here.
not have the authority to do that.
Okay.
Yes, he did.
This is not,
No, I agree with you, that's not for me.
Is there anybody else who wishes to speak?
Mm.
No one else? Seeing no one else, is there a motion to close the
I
public?
have one other issue. I have one other issue because I'm very bipartisan in everything these days. Mr. White, I have one question. We got the mailer in, I'm speaking as the RY president, I apologize. We got the mailer, and I've had several people question me how are we, because it came in our PO box, how are we supposed to support someone who is not supporting the youth that voted no for everything for the complex? So I just wanted to let you know, I will not take responsibility for answering that, but it is a question that was risen, within our meeting, just so you know.
Yeah,
And again, I'm just giving you the opportunity to know that that's all.
this is not something
All right,
that.
no problem. I'll call Tony Beatrice and he'll get us $500.
Once again, is there does anyone else wish to speak? Seeing no one else, does there someone make the motion to close the public portion?
I make a motion to close the public portion.
Close it up, it's still on my mouth.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the public portion is closed. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
I second it.
All in favor?